Governor's going to come out in a couple minutes, but I just wanted to let you guys know, well, you already know because I'm sure we'll see some of you at 10 for the BOE meetings. We have a hard stop at 10 a.m. Any questions you don't get to ask, you can find me at the end of this, email Kate. So I'm sorry that this is really tight, but we all have a 10 o'clock to get to immediately after. And he'll just come in and just go right into Q&A, so there's no opening remarks.
Thank you, Trey. Hey, welcome everybody. We're so excited to have the media here today, and this was really the brainchild of Carly, is to have press availability every single Friday. We think it would be great just to, you guys can hear from me, we can hear what's on your mind, and we can share kind of what's happening with the state capitol and all across the state. We're also making my schedule available, I think weekly or daily schedule, just so you can see what we're doing and kind of the life of the governor, what we're doing throughout the state. So just trying to be the most transparent administration in history, and got nothing to hide. We want to make sure that you know our heart that is trying to make Oklahoma a top 10 state and lead well throughout this legislative session. So it's been a great session so far. We've got a lot of momentum right now with the House and the Senate, and looking forward to some good policies. And the four things I always focus on: education, making our education system top 10, the economy, roads and bridges, and healthcare. And I tell people all the time, let's let Washington, D.C. play politics. We're all Oklahomans. Our job is to make Oklahoma a top 10 state, and let's have the greatest session we can possibly have in 2023. So that's been my message to the House and the Senate. It's been going really, really well. Just love the relationship we're building with the leadership there. So with that, let me just open it up to Q&A and whatever you'd like to hear more about. Yeah, first off, I applaud the Speaker and the House for focusing on education. And so the policy, like I said in my State of the State, I believe we need more schools, not fewer schools. Not every kid learns the same way. Let's empower parents. So those things, the bills, there's nothing that's out of the House or the Senate yet, but I know they're talking about those things. So as a big picture rule, I'm excited to put more money in education, continue the momentum to give teachers higher salaries. We need to promote that profession in Oklahoma. The magic happens when the best teachers are recruited to our state and they're teaching our young people in the classrooms, however they're designed. And I brag all the time about the Aviation Academy in Norman. They just passed the bond initiative down in Norman, and so we just have the second class coming in, where if you want to be an A&P mechanic or a pilot, you can start going to this school. That is the type of school choice we're talking about, and the policy that helps promote that all across the state, I'm 100% going to be behind. Yeah, the reason I think it's a bad idea is because it's still illegal federally, and I believe the feds need to make a decision about marijuana. We voted the people voted for medical marijuana in the state, and we saw this industry pop up, and the legislature played catch up on getting control of that industry. We have something like 8,000 growers in Oklahoma versus 2,000 in California, even though we have 10% of the population. So we've had to adjust. We've had to adjust our barriers to entry to be more market. We were getting adversely selected from out-of-state groups, and so it's just taken us a while to get our arms around that. We're just now getting our arms around medical marijuana. Medical marijuana was supposed to be to help people, right? So you can get a medical card and you can use it. The recreational thing is a whole different story. We already have medical marijuana to help the sick or the people that need it for pain relief, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think marijuana is bad for young people. I think people need to understand the side effects of that. I think we need to be protecting Oklahoma from a recreational standpoint. I have businesses all the time explain to me how challenging it is for truck drivers, et cetera, and people operating equipment in the bad position it puts them in. So the big reason is, for me, number one, it's illegal federally. There shouldn't be a patchwork of states doing different things. We need to let the feds tell us if it's legal or illegal. We shouldn't let the states tell us that. And then secondly, we already have medical to meet the medical needs of Oklahomans that need this as a drug. There's drama going on? So, again, as the governor of 30,000 state employees, and I have 15 cabinet secretaries, the big picture is we're trying to be efficient with taxpayer dollars. I believe in smaller government, lower taxes. Let's take care of veterans, right? All this noise around this is just really disappointing because I have no authority besides putting people on those boards to oversee that agency. And you've got a rogue agency director that's not showing up to meetings, that's not listening to the legislature. There's nobody in charge, and I think Oklahomans are disappointed, and that's kind of the structure that's set up right now in that situation. And so if they gave me the authority, I would fire the guy tomorrow because he's got $21 million that he's lost in the Salisaw deal we just heard about. They're asking the legislature for $21 million, which means the taxpayers are on the hook for a failed building program. And so, again, I've told the legislature, this is just a nightmare. We're going to have to fix this because this guy's not reporting to anybody. Yeah, well, I haven't seen exactly what the AG said, but I think the AG agrees the fact that now the Senate needs to, there's a separation of duties, and so the Senate needs to confirm these. But here's what Oklahomans need to understand is we've put, the legislature set in place that they wanted representation from different organizations. So Purple Heart Organization, for example. I put a guy on there named Robert Allen, who's a lifetime member of the Purple Heart. He was a brave combat veteran who served 2 tours in Iraq, survived wounds due to direct enemy fire. So he's represented. He's a great Oklahoman. He's a Purple Heart veteran. Daniel Orr, who's a member of VFW. He served combat veteran in the United States Marine Corps. So these people are representative, and the courts have agreed with me not once but twice, and we're happy to share that with you, that we did this the correct way. So again, these are great Oklahomans. We have one on there, the Department of Oklahoma American Legion, Ted Perry with the Disabled Veterans. He's with these veteran organizations, and that was the intent of the legislature. So it's not like we're pointing people on there that are not veterans of these organizations. And hey, if the courts on the third time around say we did things we shouldn't have done, then of course we'll put 3 new people on there. That's the issue is you've got a rogue agency head that's not showing up to meetings, not reporting to anybody, messing up on losing $21 million from the veterans deal. We just found out that they were using an outside vendor outside of the state's privacy policies and through OMES, the technology that we to protect individual data. We were using a third party outside of the state's own statutes there. So a lot of things going on. There's a lot of questions, but again, I have no direct authority over that. And that's the problem sometimes with state government. There's everybody's doing this and pointing their fingers. And so that's what I just try to share with Oklahomans. If you want us to be the top 10 in taking care of our veterans, we have to have a unified policy. Otherwise, you guys need to be talking to a guy that doesn't report to anybody and asking him these questions. No, we haven't. We don't think that's the right thing to do. They're overseeing that agency, and our Secretary of Veterans Affairs and Military is a great Oklahoman. Walked on and played basketball at OU and grew up here, and he was in the military and did service for 20 years for our country. And he's trying to ask the right questions and hold them accountable, but they don't even follow our executive orders that we're trying to get every single state agency that has to go to the cabinet secretaries for expenses over $25,000. And so you've got some agencies, if they're a rogue agency, they're not going to report to the cabinet secretary. And that's the structure in our state government, that every state agency is supposed to report to a cabinet secretary. There's 15 people around my cabinet table, and that's how the executive branch is supposed to work, right? You've got the legislative branch that's going to set policy, and they're going to pass the laws, and they're going to appropriate the money. But then you have a separation, and you've got the executive branch that's supposed to run government more efficiently. And that's my job as the executive, is to do that and to follow the laws that the legislature gives me. The laws in this case say I have these appointment powers, but then those boards actually hire and fire the agency heads. Yeah, we have. I've had him over to the governor's mansion for lunch, and I knew him back in Tulsa, and really excited. Talked to him numerous times. So his staff and my staff will talk probably 2 or 3 times a week, and then we will exchange phone calls when there's an issue that's related to either one of our agencies. So so far so good. I think the relationship is good, and as long as we're all moving forward to make Oklahoma a top 10 state and hold these agencies accountable, we're going to be in lockstep. As you know, that I've come out vocally and said, hey, I'm not opposed to it all, as long as it's transparent, it's auditable, it's fair for Oklahoma. We look and see what other states are doing, and we roll out a program that we get all the stakeholders around the table. I'm all for it. So not a lot of discussion's been going on. We've reached out to the Thunder. They've reached out to us. We've talked to them. I've had lunch with a couple of the tribes and have a few more scheduled to ask them what they would like to see. And so, again, the legislature is going to write that policy and figure out what that's going to look like. And I'm just trying to set the big vision and say, here's what I'm looking for. Let's go make this happen. Let's make sure we learn from these other 40 states or 25 or however many already have sports book, and let's roll out Oklahomans similar to maximize the profit or maximize the income for our education system or for our economic development or wherever we're going to designate those funds that come into the state. I'm not going to get into the details on which one I support the most. I think we all three have to come together and kind of talk about those things. But the big picture that everybody needs to remember: more choice for parents, putting them in charge. Let's fund students, not systems. Let's create more schools, not fewer schools. Let's promote teachers. Let's make sure that we pay teachers market. Remember, in 2019, we gave another teachers pay raise to bring them up into the top 10 in our region. We need to do that again, and we need to make it encourage more folks coming out of the private sector to go into teaching, second careers. So those are the big picture items, and the devils are in the details on how we work that out. But the good news is we have tremendous buy-in from the Republican Party that we're leading, that we want to prioritize education. Unlike what some of the naysayers said in our campaign, as they were sending out flyers saying that Stitt was going to close your rural school. which, by the way, we need some transparency in that. But we want to promote those rural schools. We want every kid to have access to the best education possible, regardless of their economic status, their zip code, or where they live in the state of Oklahoma. Y'all going to let him dominate these questions here? I'm just kidding. Sorry, go ahead. I'm just kidding. Well, since he is the cabinet secretary, I guess it would come from Souter. So Souter is my COO, and I was the first governor in Oklahoma to set it up this way, but Tennessee does this. A few other states are starting to copy it. But the COO of the state is the chief operating officer. And the way you work a business is you have the CEO, who's the visionary, but your chief operating officer is supposed to run the operation. So all cabinet secretaries report up to John Souter. He leads our cabinet meetings. The way I divided it up, I have the political side of my office that works with the legislature and passes laws and helps with that. But really the business side, it should be business people. It should be blocking and tackling, being more efficient with taxpayer dollars, delivering better services for Oklahoma. The ideas should come from frontline workers. And that's what I tell every single worker, all my coworkers in state government. If you see ideas to make Oklahoma more efficient, let us know. It flows up through your cabinet secretary, and then we should flip it over to the political side of the house, and we should tell the legislature, hey, change this law to make our dollars get on target better, whether it's roads and bridges, education. What are you seeing over here that would help us run government more efficiently? Because think about it, guys. We play these political games up here, but really what we're talking about here, what is my job? It's to run state government. It's 30,000 state employees. Let's make sure we manage that efficiently and effectively for the taxpayers. But a lot of times governors play over here in the political world the whole time, and they don't really focus on delivering better services for Oklahomans and setting the policies to make sure we're the most pro-business friendly state. And so that's kind of where I try to spend a lot of my time, is making government more effective, more efficient. Thank you guys so much.